Bolivia is a beautiful country. Its beauty can be seen in a variety of places, from its natural landscapes to the richness of the culture that flows through its streets, including traditional parades and everyday nightlife. This was my first time traveling outside the country, and I honestly didn't know what to expect, but I knew that I didn't want to make a laundry list of lofty goals and expectations, so I decided to put two simple things on my list. The first being to be open to new things, and the second is to learn all that I could. Within my first few days, I began to see a stark contrast between how Americans treat outsiders and how Bolivians treat them. Here in America, most people ignore those who are different or try to strip them of their differences to make everyone the same. But in Bolivia, it's the total opposite. People I encountered had different reactions, but all of them had me at the center of their attention. During my first clinical rotation in Bolivia, I was placed in the Chagas Clinic. Here, I shadowed physicians, lab technicians, and nurses who all shared a common goal of treating those infected with the T. cruzi virus. One of the effects of contracting Chagas disease is heart failure. Those living with the disease continually have to be monitored. A moment that I will never forget is the time that Dr. Alejandro asked me to perform an EKG on an elderly indigenous man. I had watched Dr. Alejandro perform a couple of EKGs on a different patients and was grateful just to have seen that. So I was very surprised when he asked me to perform one as well. Immediately, a rush of anxiety and discomfort hit me. Not only did I look drastically different, but there was also a language barrier between me and the patient. I was anxious to interact independently with the patient, knowing that I would have to place the leads of the machine on his chest. You have to understand that my ongoing experience of being catcalled and stared at, and not always with a smile, every time I left our house left me a little scarred. In simple terms, I was terrified. Once the patient came in, Dr. Alejandro began to explain that I was a student from America and the program that I was with. After he finished explaining, I began to place the leads. So many different thoughts were running through my brain, like, am I doing this right? Where does lead number 4 go? And I hope I still smell okay after that 30-minute walk I just had endured. And then suddenly the patient begins to speak, and I hear Dr. Alejandro laugh. Before I can even turn around and ask what he said, Dr. Alejandro conveys the message. He tells me that the patient thinks that I'm doing a great job and wants me to relax. I let out a breath that I didn't even realize I was holding, and a small chuckle as well. I was able to finish, and the patient left shortly after that. Receiving the reassurance that I did completely changed the trajectory of my mindset for the rest of the trip. I was not going to allow myself to be anxious and afraid to interact with future patients. I was going to make a serious effort to learn at least some Spanish and connect with people the best that I could. His reassurance gave me confidence that I was able to take with me to all other clinics that I rotated at. This moment will be something that I hold dear to my heart for the rest of my life. Because of the kindness of a stranger, I'm now considering a career in becoming an international physician. This patient had the ability to flip the moment of me trying to provide care for him to him actually taking care of me in my non-physical well-being. As I continue to pursue my career as a physician, I know that I will encounter many different barriers between me and the patients, whether that be age, race, or language. But knowing that when you're doing your absolute best to treat and care for someone, that they are receptive to the differences that may lie in between the both of you. There was so much goodness that radiated from the people and the families that we met. I will forever be grateful that I was able to travel to Tarija, Bolivia, in South America.